We let the government get away from us. Then we let it get arrogant and spoiled and filthy rich. Now it's completely openly criminal and believe nobody's going to stop them. In fact, these criminals don't even care if they get stopped. They're just stealing money and leaving the country, most of them. It's like robbing a bank. They're just taking the risk. And they're all excited about it, and then they celebrate how stupid the public is and how the public will put up with anything and everything. I'm just sick of it because I'm an American. I know this is a special good country. I know that's not just propaganda. It's the truth. And I had 2 ancestors directly on the Mayflower. I had ancestors all over the Revolutionary War, ancestors in the center of the Texas Revolution. And I love the United States, and I know we've been special. Not perfect, but very special. And the military and the FBI and the government that carries out all these crimes against our nation and violates the Bill of Rights and Constitution, you make me sick how you wrap yourselves in the flag. If you really in your mind think you're pro-freedom and pro-liberty and you believe all this baloney about how you're taking our rights to fight al-Qaeda while your own manuals say all protesting is terrorism and veterans and gun owners are your main target, just shut up because I'm sick of it. Just admit you're dirtbag criminals if you're serving this and you think it's good. Now, if you're on our side, that's fine. But I want to see more from you. I want to see more leaked documents. I want to see more resistance. I want to see you go public and speak out. What happened to you? How could Americans just 50, 60 years ago charge machine gun nests to their death, fighting on foreign shores in fraudulent wars, but then when our own republic is overrun by parasites and scum, go along with it? All right, let me get into the news I was covering. The White House has announced the new powers for the Federal Reserve, that the Federal Reserve will be able to seize any company or corporation. It's basically the executive orders. In fact, I asked you guys to dig through that giant box of files. Did you find my files on executive order? I had Rob digging in there an hour ago. I meant to have this. He found it? Okay. If you read the executive orders about brigades and forced labor and all of that, it says it. Well, that's basically the implementation of this through law. Kind of like they build the FEMA camps. We describe how they're going to run, how they're going to operate, how they're going to sell them to the community as if it's a federal community assistance program. And then the exact bill of what I've reverse engineered and broken down on air for you, it gets then proposed in a piece of legislation. Kind of like after they've been spying on us for decades without warrants, they then have Congress pass a law saying they can do it without warrants. That's their in-your-face system. And then they have all these old executive orders that they've reissued under new orders, like Executive Order 10,990 allows the government to take over all modes of transportation and control of highways and seaports. Executive Order 10,995 allows the government to seize and control the communication media. And see, when you read Obama's new executive order he signed for the bird flu or any other crisis or swine flu, it just combines all these. But these are not rescinded. Executive Order 10,997 allows the government to take over all electrical power, gas, petroleum, fuels, minerals. Executive Order 10998 allows the government to seize any means of transportation, including personal cars, trucks, vehicles of any kind, and total control over all highways, seaports, waterways. Executive Order 10,999 allows the government to take over all food resources and farms. Executive Order 11,000 allows the government to mobilize civilians into work brigades under government supervision. Executive Order 11001 allows the government to take over all health, education, and welfare functions. Executive Order 11,002 designates the Postmaster General to operate a national registration of all persons. Executive Order 11003 allows the government to take over all airports, aircraft, including commercial aircraft. Executive Order 11,004 allows the Housing and Finance Authority to relocate communities, build new housing and public funds, designate areas to be abandoned, and establish new locations and populations. You see that USA Today and LA Times articles of 3 days ago? Obama may bulldoze up to a fourth of U.S. cities. In fact, print that again for me. I was looking for it in the stack from Monday and couldn't. Obama says cities may be destroyed, bulldozed. Thank you. I want to get to that later. It's not enough to just mention it. I want to give them the exact headline of the Live in Denial. This is all being implemented and beta tested. Every criminal reorganization, continuity of government, Northcom takeover operation that there is being implemented right now. It's all being done right now. It's all being implemented. I'm going to go over this more next hour because we got a film crew in here making a film about it. And then meanwhile, it says the Federal Reserve will be the one that runs this. Not the White House, not Homeland Security. Above that, now with actual governmental power, not just private banking power over the money, the issuance of currency and credit, but now government power by a private offshore corporation, the Federal Reserve. I mean, the height of treason, the height of open dictatorship. This isn't just the government running a dictatorship of the tyranny of the plutocrats. This is an offshore banking consortium, combine, openly setting up a new form of government. That should be the headline at Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. So I know Kurt Nimmo and Paul Watson are listening. I know they understand this. Give me articles on this in the written word so people can understand it with all the points I've just made. This is open 1776 against us. This is a 2009 declaration of tyranny for global corporate monopoly capitalism. Open new form of government with the bankers above Homeland Security, which is the forced reorganization arm, just like they've done in third world countries over and over again. And then you read the news, it's, Federal Reserve to gain power under a plan, and it goes on to fix the economy and to take over companies and industries. With the money, they're going to loan the industries with strings attached. And then now it's been declassified that they ordered the banks to take the Federal Reserve money so the, quote, government, so the Federal Reserve would have government power over them. Here's the LA Times lying. Obama to propose strict new regulation of industry, financial industry. And then you read the truth in Reuters, Obama plan would cut number of U.S. bank regulators, just like they've gotten rid of most of the IRS investigators for rich people and sick them, the few that are left on people making less than $20,000 a year. That is sick. The Obama administration plans to call, because it's run by criminals, folks. The government is run by offshore criminals. They don't want any regulation on themselves. They're allowed to do whatever they want. And when they want to every once in a while burn somebody that doesn't play ball with them, they go burn them, and then that's also a kind of a sacrificial Judas goat for people. Sacrificial scapegoat. Sacrificial lamb. The Obama administration plans to call for the U.S. Office of Thrift Supervision to close as part of its overall financial regulation, which would also include the elimination of the federal thrift charter for banks, so any rules on them for corruption. The plan will require large, interconnected firms to draft a credible plan to self-regulate themselves for how they would unwind if they ran into severe trouble. A senior administration official told reporters on a conference call Tuesday. Now, where's my New York Times? I had it here. I can't keep track of this anymore. Here it is. Found that in the stack. Here we go. Here's a whole stack of this just on this subject. Okay? Now listen up and listen up good. I'm explaining how all this works. They got to have enforcers for all this. And they admit they got door-to-door people knocking on doors. They run federal ads with federal money on radio, TV, and print, acting like AmeriCorps, SecureCorps, USAService.org. All these groups are government, but the organizations and the funding is private. Totally illegal. And then they recruit them to private groups run by the Democratic Party and George Soros and others. And they have already got over 1 million hired with your money. I mean, they gave $2.5 billion to Acorn alone. And they're on power trips, and they think they're saving the world, and they are dangerous. Now, former AmeriCorps official says Obama removed him for doing my job. This is out of Associated Press. Gerald Walspin was removed from President Obama last week as the Inspector General for AmeriCorps and other service programs. His decision followed Walpon's investigation into the alleged misuse of federal grants by Sacramento Mayor Kevin Johnson, another rising star for the globalist, a former NBA star and an Obama supporter, and the nonprofit education groups he headed, which are these youth brigades. It goes on. Now, this is the New York Times. Listen and listen carefully. New York Times today. New Orleans program linked green jobs and youth development. New Orleans resident, this is a positive article. Like they have positive articles about 7-year-olds tattling on mommy for taking hot baths, and they write fake tickets on their parents that are really little data reports that are then filed. And the parents giggling in the article saying, I love my 7-year-old writing me tickets and spying on me with the school.